So I'm back again with John Lamkin. John, it was so great, man, to be here with you and telling these great stories. I had to get you back again to finish out some of the stories about Atlantic City and give you an opportunity to make that transformation to your life in South Carolina. You were speaking earlier about how the nightlife would extend into early Sunday mornings. I kind of want you to tell that story.
Well, as you know, I'm an Episcopalian, and in Atlantic City when I was growing up, I was a member of the St. Augustine's Episcopal Church. It was the black Episcopal Church. There were only two Episcopal churches in the city. One was black, and one was white. That was, uptown. And so, and it was quite a congregation. It was a congregation of, I guess you could call, the upper crust in Atlantic City. The doctors and the lawyers were members of St. Augustine's, the school teachers. My father was a school teacher, and a lot of the fraternity guys, from college.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a Q, and there were several Qs in the church. Well, anyway, they had two services. One service was the big service, which was around 11 o'clock in the day, but they had a small service which lasted for 45 minutes in the morning on Sunday at 7:30. Okay, so, and I think it was 7 o'clock actually. So the pastor needed acolytes to serve at that service, and I was an acolyte. And the pastor didn't live too far from me, and so he'd come pick me up on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Go to church. Now, if this service started, and I believe it started at 7 o'clock, by 7:45 we were out. It was a 45-minute service. Everything with communion. Okay.
Wow.
Every morning, every
Sunday
morning at the 7 o'clock service, you got communion. So when the service was over, I'd take off my vestments and I would tell the pastor, I said, look, I said, you don't have to take me home, I can walk home. I'd make a beeline down from the church. The church was on Arctic Avenue, and down the street and from Illinois Avenue. I'd make a beeline down there to Kentucky Avenue and go up right there by the Harlem Club.
Yeah.
And man, they would be just coming out of the breakfast shows. The bands would be playing. The front bar would be packed. I saw Gene Ammons, in the front bar. I mean, killing, you know what I mean? And what's the guy's name? The Mighty Burner, Charles Erlin. And then across was, on the other side was Cozy Cole, and all them cats would be over there. There was another organ player, I can't remember his name, was at Grace's. Man, the place would be packed. This is Sunday morning. This is like 8 o'clock.
Incredible. Just music just never stopped.
Never stopped. And so that's how I, cut my teeth in Atlantic City. That's how I began to really love jazz music and the whole era, around jazz. So anyway, I go down south to South Carolina State, but I do come home, and after the second referendum was passed, the first one, gambling referendum.
Right.
The first one, they voted it down. I talked to my parents about about the referendums. The second one passed, and then they began to build these casinos. And I remember my parents talking to me about, they started another casino. They're building another one in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And these clubs that I was talking to you about, I mean, there was, again, Club Harlem was black owned, the Gracie's was black, it was right next to the pool hall, Brody's, that was a black pool hall, the Wonder Garden, no, it wasn't the Wonder, it was Wonder Bar first, and then the Wonder Garden, black owned, the Silk Hat, the High Hat, they were all black owned. Reggie Edgels, he had about 3 bars.
Incredible.
These were all black people who own these businesses in Atlantic City. Well, once the casinos got in and they began to get a foothold, the clubs could not compete with the casinos because they started bringing in these big acts.
Right.
So now the destination in Atlantic City was not Kentucky Avenue or Arctic Avenue or any of these clubs. It was the boardwalk.
It was the boardwalk. Right.
They had a train from Baltimore that would go to Atlantic City non-stop.
Incredible. Incredible.
Straight down Atlantic City, and then you got shuttled to any one of the casinos you wanted to shuttle to.
Yeah. And you were telling me earlier about a story about a woman who owned a club.
She owned the club
in Atlantic City.
She owned the Timbuktu, which was right around the corner from the Club Harlem, across the street from the Wonder Bar. Okay, and then they had live music in there and everything. Man, it was a big club. And these were contemporaries of my family. My mother and my father they knew all these people.
Yeah.
Because Atlantic City was a small
place. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So everybody pretty much knew everybody, and they had these little clubs, little social clubs. My mother was socialite and whatnot. And my father and whatnot. And so I remember them talking, my mother and my father and my uncles, that's the generation above me. And they were talking about how she lost her club.
Yeah.
She lost it because she loved to gamble. So she would go down to the casinos and she gambled everything away. The only thing she had left was the deed to the club.
Wow.
And she put that up and lost the club.
Yeah.
And that kind of, foreshadowed the demise of that entertainment area. Now, man, it's heartening to go back home.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because there's nothing. As a matter of fact, where the Club Harlem is, it's a parking lot. Okay.
Yeah.
And they got this little something on the fence of the parking lot. The home of the great Club Harlem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy, and right across the street is like a little mall. They got a food market there.
Right.
That's where the Grace's Little Belmont used to be.
Wow. And
the Wonder Bar is gone now. That was recently torn down about last year.
Yeah.
So that's how I see.
So then you moved to South Carolina.
Well. But see, I went down to South Carolina State.
Right.
And my mother had family on her side. They had family down South Carolina State, and her cousin, we called her aunt. Aunt Reed. She was on the faculty of South Carolina State. Yeah. And let me get this straight. My mother's brother sold band uniforms to the band directors and had sold band uniforms to the band directors down South Carolina State. So he knew him, and they put in a word for me and whatnot. And so I go down there and take an audition and get a scholarship. And so that's.
So now you get a music scholarship.
Yeah.
And it went during your going through the process of getting that scholarship. What pieces of music did you play?
Oh man, I don't remember back then.
Okay.
I had to do some sight reading.
Yeah.
I had a solo or something that I had to play. I remember, what I do remember is going in with my horn, and there was a stand right there, and they said, well, open the book, and I opened the book. He said, well, let me hear you play that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And obviously you played it pretty good.
I played it, and then they gave me something else to read. I had to play some scales, Yeah. It was an audition,
Yeah.
And so then I got the scholarship.
Right.
To play in the marching band.
Yeah.
Now, I'm from Atlantic City, right? So, and I was in the marching band in Atlantic City. Nothing like what was happening down in South Carolina. This is HBCU.
Right, absolutely. We know these marching bands.
I didn't know
they're
iconic.
That.
I didn't know nothing about that. See? Coming out of Atlantic City, I knew about the jazz thing, but I didn't know about this marching thing.
Right.
So man, I get down there, and like you had to be down there and school opened in September. You had to be down there in mid-August.
Yeah. Yeah.
In mid-August for band practice.
For band practice.
Man, I got down there, but I had never been that hot in life.
Incredible.
In life, we would get up in the morning. We had to be on that field like about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And we would march all the way up to about 11 o'clock because we couldn't march any past 11 because it was too hot.
Right.
Then we'd go inside and we go to lunch, and so we go inside with the air conditioning, but we play until about 6 o'clock.
Right.
And then we go back out. Now the sun is down. So now you go back out.
So now you say marching, but in actuality, you were choreographing.
I wasn't. They were choreographing.
Yeah.
I was just doing what everybody told me to do. March here, but hit the 8 steps and hit the yard line. Turn here and back up.
That's right.
You know, that's
right.
what I did, man. Oh boy, you know, it was crazy. So you know, I go down there, and I'm really drugged because you know the music that I was accustomed to up here was not happening down there.
Right.
You know, not to the extent that I thought, you know, that it should be, particularly for me. You know. So then the band was good. I mean, there were good cats in the band and whatnot, but you know, they weren't playing what I wanted to play. You know. And so, and I had created a kind of a name for myself, you know, because I was trying to play jazz and whatnot. So people realized that. And I remember my freshman year. This is funny. This is a funny story. My freshman year, I met a guy. His name was Jimmy Wilson, Jesse Wilson, and it was a drummer who was in the band. There was a bass player and myself, you know, and there was a freshman tally show. Okay, so I remember being in this chemistry class, and the chemistry teacher was a jazz aficionado.
Incredible.
You know, and so we put together something. We played. I don't know. We might play Take 5, or we might have played Song from a Father. Something we played, you know. And everybody else is singing doo-wop, you know. Everybody's singing rhythm and blues, and you know.
Right, because that's the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we come on, and we play straight up jazz. Right? So we go back to class the next day. The professor made us stand up. You know, he says, look, and he lectured the whole class, about how important jazz was to the African American experience, and we were the only ones who were keeping jazz alive on campus. Oh man, our heads got that big.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Our heads got so big we both flunked chemistry. Both of us. Like, oh, he did that. And so we went to see him. He said, yeah, he said, y'all play, but you know, you got to do this. You know, this is what you got to do.
This is what you got to do.
You know,
exactly.
You know,
exactly.
If you don't do it, then hey, you know, I can't help you.
Now, was that an opportunity for you to begin to hone your skills as a jazz musician? Was that sort of a lightning rod at that point in your life to say that, you know, I got to continue this playing?
Well, at that point in my life, it was like a wake-up call. Like, okay, you're here at South Carolina State College. You know, now what are you going to do? You know, are you going to stay here and be mediocre, or are you going to get a degree? You know,
right.
And so, and my friend, he was the organ player. You know, and both of us said, okay, you know, we started buckling down and started, you know, dealing with the music, as well as dealing with the books.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then. You know, Jesse wanted to play, I wanted to play, but what really happened, was probably in my sophomore year. I come back, you know, and I had talked to my parents about leaving South Carolina State. You know, I come back and I'm in the band, and in walks a guy. Got processed, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he walked, and you know, he looks kind of slick, and I'm like, who is this guy? And he was a homeboy from South Carolina, had been in the service, was living in Washington, D.C., and had come back home. Okay. Now, I didn't know all that at this time.
Right.
But But he seemed to know everybody, and he seemed to know some of the people who were in the band because he's from Orangeburg, South Carolina, and a lot of people in the band who are from Orangeburg, South Carolina, so they kind of knew who he was, you know. They said, "Hey, Skip," you know. I'm sitting there like, "Okay, Skip, huh?" You know. He had his horn, you know. So Prof says, "You know, Skip, why don't you get your horn out and sit in with the band?" So he said, "All right." So he reached down, he pulled his horn out. When he pulled that horn out, it was a white plastic alto saxophone, right?
Incredible.
And I had really never seen a white plastic alto saxophone except on that album with Ornette Coleman.
Yeah.
Ornette Coleman and you know, Change the Century out. So when he pulled that out, I was like, okay, this is the guy that I need to see, that I need to become friends with because he knows something, right? So you know, I became friendly with him, and he put together a band, and he hired me. He hired another trumpet player first, and he punched out of school. You know, so then I got the gig. My wife was in the gig, in the band. He hired her because that's his own girl, and she could sing. And so he hires her, and so now we start playing all around South Carolina. Myrtle Beach, Atlantic Beach.
Yeah.
You know, we're down there, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so now during the summer, I didn't go home because I'm making money playing. We down in Myrtle Beach playing. We down in Charleston playing.
So now at this point you're a professional musician.
No, I'm still in school.
Oh, okay.
See, I'm still in school. This is maybe my junior year in school. I'm still trying to get my degree.
Okay.
You know, but
you're a paid musician.
Oh yeah, I'm getting paid. You know what I mean? You know, in other words, you talk about the children's circuit. It was this guy put together this band. Oh man, look, let me tell you what he did. He went out, now he's a saxophone player, right? He goes out and buys a Hammond B3 organ and 2 Leslie cabinets. Now he can't play organ. You know what I mean? So he had a truck. He put the organ in the truck. He would hire an organ player or a piano player who did not have an instrument, and that cat would come and play the organ. He played saxophone, I played trumpet, my wife sang, we had a drum.
Incredible.
Now the gig is over, so who has to put this organ? Me,
right.
You know, and Skip, you know, sometimes the organ player be gone.
He gone, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So that's what he did, man. So man, the summer of my junior year, I stayed down there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we played all over the place. And then the summer of my senior year, once I graduated, my wife and I got married in April before graduation.
Right.
And so now when my parents come down for graduation, you know, I had to tell them, you know, look, I'm married, I ain't going back.
Wow.
So they going back to Atlantic City, and I stayed down in South Carolina. And
yeah.
So, you know, and then I had a job because once I graduated, what was interesting about South Carolina State, you know, particularly in the band room, they would post positions. You know, band director needed it, band book high school, the band director needed Greeleyville High School and whatnot, and they would do the same thing for the choir kids, right? So I got word that there was a guy at Greeleyville High School who was looking for a college gig. He wanted to come to South Carolina State. And I heard that the band director of South Carolina State was leaving. You know, he had,
incredible.
You know, done whatever he did, but he was getting ready to get the hell out of there. So I hooked up with this guy. His name was Watkins. So I told,
Now I was gonna say, let me stop you right there.
Okay.
So then we can go to part 3.
Okay.
John, I tell you again, man, you are amazing. You have amazing stories, man. And we're just going to end part 2.
Okay.
And we're going to start part 3.
Okay.
And,
what's part 3 about?
Again, I'm going to let you continue your journey.
Okay.
And but I just want to say again, it's a wonderful, wonderful pleasure talking with you. And I just can't wait for part 3.
Okay.